Good day everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Up to Speed with the CDP ICLEI track, learn more on reporting and its benefits. I'm Marta Vescovi and I work for CDP, and presenting with me today is Maria Andreeva, working for UBC. Good morning, Maria. So from Maria and myself and the organizations that we represent, we wanted to welcome you to today's webinar and thank you for being here. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and that we welcome all of your questions. So at any point, don't hesitate to put them in the Q&A, which is on the bottom right side of your screen. So we have quite a good agenda today. So without further ado, let's get started. So to understand what the CDP ICLEI track, I will start from telling you more about CDP, so the first organization of the CDP ICLEI track. CDP is the non-profit running the world's largest environmental reporting platform. We work with city, region, company, and suppliers that disclose on our reporting platform every year. We're a non-profit with a worldwide presence, and our local branch, CDP Europe, is a registered charity in Brussels and in Berlin, and it's co-founded by the European Commission. Regarding our work with cities, on which we will focus today, it is important to know that since 2019, CDP works with the ICLEI, Local Government for Sustainability, on one common questionnaire, hence the name of our questionnaire being CDP ICLEI track. And if we stay a little bit more on the European side with the cities, so we work with cities since 2014, and since then we have worked with 265 European cities that started their disclosure journey. In a second, we will explain more of what a disclosure journey is. Here with us today, we have Mika Meritoja from the city of Turku, a city that started disclosing in 2014 and never stopped. Thank you for being here and welcome, Mika. So you will hear from Turku's journey in a very short while. And now, Maria, over to you to tell us more about UBC.
Thank you very much, Marta. Well, Union of the Baltic Cities is the leading network of cities in the Baltic Sea region, working along different topics through its 8 commissions. On different topics: culture, education, safety, youth involvement, and so on. And our commission, which I here today represent together with my colleague Adham, is Sustainable Cities Commission. So we work on sustainability issues. Adham says hello too. And overall, the network itself today has over 70 member cities in all 9 EU countries around the Baltic Sea. And well, this could be the introduction in a very brief, and I could go into more details on how we work, I guess, later today.
Unmute myself. Thank you, Maria. And yeah, indeed, we will hear more about UBC in the second part of the webinar. And now that you know more about the CDP, ICLEI, and UBC, we can dive into the CDP ICLEI track. And in CDP ICLEI track terms, let's say, the process that city follow every year, so to disclose every year, is called disclosure cycle. And so every year we invite cities to disclose their most recent data and ameliorate the quantity and the quality of such data. And this follows the theory saying that you can't manage what you can't measure. And the yearly disclosure cycle is there to make sure that you and your city stay on track and make decisions also based on the most recent data that you have. So how does the disclosure cycle work? There are 2 ways to look at it. There's from the city perspective only, so we would follow the purple signs and then the overall picture. So I'll start from the overall. So we are at the arrow now. You haven't started disclosing yet, but hopefully after this webinar you will. So then the city inserts the data into the CDP ICLEI track platform, and then CDP manages the data. When the city gives if the city gives the okay for a public disclosure, then CDP publishes those public data on the Open Data platform, which is a platform, as the name indicates it, where all the data of all cities in the whole world are there for free usage of your citizens or academia or anyone really interested in the topic. And then at the same time, CDP, again, if you indicate your wish to do so, sends your data to many partners and initiatives. And we'll see more in details this in some minutes. CDP then works with these partners and initiatives with events, research, and advocacy, and then provides a feedback to the city. So then the city receives this feedback with indication on which data points or documents we would suggest to improve for the next year, and then has some months to work on those. And then the disclosure cycle starts again. And then so from a city perspective, you insert the data in the platform, you get feedback after some months, and then the cycle continues like that during the years. And to give you a better idea on the timelines, so our webinar is happening today in the middle of November. The platform will close on December 7th, so this is the last date on which you can insert your data. And in the meanwhile, you can book your one-on-one call with me. We can open the questionnaire together and go through it. And I can help you fill out the data that you have already. Then the platform will close for 2022. And there will be some months in which you can hopefully work together with your team to get better and more data. And then in April, the platform will open again. And what we suggest in order to get the best of the benefits of using CDP ClayTrack is to submit your data before the end of July, so that you can also access to the CDP score. And actually, cities that have disclosed before July, end of July 2022, will receive their score in the next 2 days. And we, but although you can't receive the CDP score for this year, we would encourage you to start reporting your data this year in order to prepare and be more ready for the 2023 disclosure cycle. And you might be wondering, what is the CDP score? Well, every year cities that send their data within the deadline are scored from D to A, with A being the best score. And the CDP score is designed to incentivize the transition towards resilience and net zero through equitable environmental actions. The scoring process is an opportunity for you as a city to get feedback on your climate and environmental planning and actions. And you can, of course, then use this score to benchmark your progress against others, or identify areas, for example, to improve on, and so on. And to receive the score that accurately reflects your climate and environmental actions and plans, it is important that the questionnaire is answered as truly as possible, since anything that is not reported cannot be reflected in the score. And again, hence the importance of starting this year, so that you have a little bit more time to understand how this questionnaire works. And one important detail is that when the city receives an A, so the best score, then we celebrate the city. We invite them at for example, in Europe, we invite them at the CDP Europe Awards. And then we work, of course, with the media and the press at national and international level to try to really celebrate these leaders. And if and when the score is not A, so not the best, then the score is private. So no one else but the people that worked on the questionnaire can see it, because the aim here is to improve your score and your data, of course, year on year. Together with the score, you receive a personalized feedback. So you have your score, you can compare your score on a regional level and on a worldwide level. We break down also your score in adaptation and mitigation scores, so you can see, for example, where you're more advanced and where you should put more attention. And then we give you much more feedback, and this personalized feedback comes also, if you wish so, with a one-on-one call with us, in which we can discuss the next step for the next disclosure cycle. Because you have understood that for this year the score can't be achieved, you might be wondering why you should input the data this year. And so it is important to stress that in order to save time for the cities when they do the reporting, CDP ClayTrack has the copy forward in place. So the data that you input this year will be copied forward for the next year, so that next year you can focus on other points that maybe you didn't have time to develop for the current year. And from this year to the next year, there won't be any substantial changes in the questionnaire, and so most of the answers will be copied forward. Another way in which CDP ClayTrack tries to save time for the reporting of the cities is what we call the one-stop shop. So reporting through our questionnaire, you can decide by clicking on Report to send your data, well, to tell CDP to send the data to all of those initiatives that you see here. There are some more that you can see from your dashboard. So let's say that your mayor wants to take part to the Race to Resilience or the Race to Zero. You can, and one of the necessary factors to be part of those races is to report your data every year. And CDP ClayTrack is an official platform on which you can do this. And so by clicking on Report to, you can be we will make sure that your data arrive to those initiatives, so that you don't have to do the same on other platforms, so that you can again try to save as much time as possible when it comes to reporting. And last but not least, if you're working with the CIRIS, Climate View or ClearPath for your emissions inventory, you can automatically import them on our platform, again trying to save you time from the reporting burden. And now coming on the questionnaire itself, the CDP ClayTrack covers a wide range of topics. Here we can see some of them. So you will see that, we asked you about the risk and vulnerability assessment, but also emission inventory, water data, public health data, waste data, and so on. So the objective here is not to work with different offices within your city, and really try to have one platform on which as many people that work in the city can fill the data for their field and record them in one single platform. These topics are divided in 5 sections that you can see that you will find in the platform. And those are government, assessment, targets, planning, and actions. And those then have subsections. Again, don't worry, if you have any question on this, we can also have our one-on-one call and go through all of this together. And now coming on the platform itself, you will have to register and put in your details. And then you will have access to your city dashboard. So you and up to 100 people working for the city can have access to this dashboard and work together on the questionnaire. And when getting started, one person in the city will have the role of the main user, which is the person that has the role of sending the questionnaire to CDP to CDP once the questionnaire is as completed as possible. And it is also the person that can decide to which initiatives you wish that we send your data to. This year, in 2022, we introduced the pathways, because if you remember at the beginning, I said that CDP CLAI-TRACK is a worldwide questionnaire. It means that we work with the huge metropolis, but also very small villages, actually, in the global north and in the global south. So to try to introduce some equity into the reporting and to decrease the reporting burden where necessary, we introduced those pathways. And so based on jurisdiction, population, per capita emissions, and human development index, you will be suggested one pathway. You're then free to choose any other pathway if you want, with pathway 1 being the most, let's say, concise one and brief one, and pathway 3 going more and more into details. Again, I'm happy to discuss about this in the 101 call, and in a second I will also show you that at any point you can on your own decide to increase or decrease the pathway, should you wish so. So I will now share my screen. Yeah, so let's pretend this is your city dashboard. Here you will have the possibility to adding other users. We said up to 100 per city. Clicking here, and so you can add other colleagues that will have access to the dashboard of your city. But let's not do it now. Here you have the reporting pathway. So we said with pathway 1 being the most concise and pathway 3 being the one with more details, you can, clicking here at any point, choose the pathway. Let's say that we now want to go on pathway 3. And just by clicking save, the platform will update, and all the users connected to the platform will see the updated pathway. And then here, it unzoomed again. So here is where you can see and select the partners and initiatives. This is a test account, so I have showed this to many cities and all of them are clicked. And this is how it will show once you decide to send your data to all of the initiatives or not. Yeah, so these are the main dashboard important points. And then once we enter the questionnaire, in a second, oops. Here on the navigation, you can see the 5 sections we talked about with all the under sections. And if we click on any, we will see that you will have in the questionnaire some drop-down menus on which you can simply select the option that is best for you. You will have some fields in which you have to insert text. It's not working, but yeah, text, and other section in which you will have to insert a numerical point. And here you will have some explanations in case. And here each question has a link to the guidance, but then again, don't hesitate to also contact me if you have any questions. And with this sorry, I will zoom in a little bit. With this symbol here, when you click on it, you will have an overview on the framework that this question is aligned with and the city project and initiatives. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, answering to one question, you're kind of automatically also answering to those projects and initiatives as well. And then here, well, again, you have the save button, here's where the main user only can submit the answer. Here, import answers. So, for example, if you want to import your series, and then export if you, for example, want to share with other people working in the city, either in Excel or Word format. And at any point, you can go back to your dashboard and again add other colleagues and so on, should you wish so, or change pathway, or participate to one more initiative. And again, this webinar wants to be a little bit of an overview, but we can have the one-on-one call and we can open your dashboard together and check all of these more into details. I will now stop sharing my screen. And yeah, as promised since the beginning, we will now hear from Mika Meritoja from the city of Turku. Again, welcome, Mika. And Turku as a city that started reporting in 2014 and has never stopped since. And city that in 2019, 2020, 2021 has been on the A list, so with the best score possible. And that actually has made it even in 2022 to the A list. So an A list city for 4 years in a row. Again, congratulations, Mika. And so now to you, Mika. Could you tell us a little bit more about your experience with reporting to CDP Clay Track? And maybe just as a note for all the participants, please don't hesitate to put your questions in the Q&A, and we will get to your questions. Mika, the floor is. Oh.
Thank you very much, and thank you for introduction. So I work as senior specialist in the climate and environment policy unit in the city of Turku, and I have been responsible for the CDP reporting since 2014, and I think that the development of the score goes hand in hand with the development of our climate work in general. So nowadays, reporting is an integral part of our climate work, and making the data publicly available and opening it for external criticism is one way to improve our climate work in general, and it has proved to be very beneficial indeed. And we have started from scratch in 2014. Our report was far from being perfect, and a lot of data gaps there. But nevertheless, also these early reports proved to be quite useful in a way, so we could identify our strengths and weaknesses, and for example, our ambitious carbon neutrality target gained international attention already by that time, and because it wasn't very common to have a carbon neutrality target in 2014, and so that was very ambitious target already then. And afterwards, for example, if I remember correctly, in 2018, although we scored only D that year, the share of renewable energy in our energy system was above 50% in that report, and that also gained international attention. to get this kind of feedback, it was very important actually, and we used it internally to show, for example, to our energy company, and look, you have done actually very great work, and that works very well as a motivation to improve also the work that is done in the city and its companies, and so it's very nice to have this kind of feedback. But we have also been constantly improving our reporting, and also, of course, the platform has improved a lot during these years, and now the common reporting framework is actually quite flexible, and we get along with the data that we have quite well, and there is a possibility to combine different data sources, and so it's very comfortable platform to use. And as Marta mentioned, once you make it carefully, then it's much easier next year, and if you make good notes also where you get the data, it's easy to update also if there is some data that you need to update annually. So it pays back to make the work carefully, and next year it's easier to concentrate on data gaps, as Marta mentioned. And actually, the report may also become quite good up-to-date textual database about climate work. And I have, for example, used the CDP report many times for example, when we are making some funding application at short notice, and so I suddenly remember that this is something I have already written in the CDP report, and then I check the report and copy paste the text from there. So once you do the reporting well, it's very, very useful data actually, and also in the communication we have used it, for example, for new employees. So we give the CDP report and read this, and so you know after that what we are doing here in the city, and also that reporting to these multiple commitments it's a very nice feature in here, and we are involved in many campaigns. We report to Global Covenant of Mayors through this CDP ICLEI platform, and Race to Zero campaign, 100% renewables campaign, TAP, and WWF One Planet City Challenge, for example. We have been involved in all of these, and it's actually very easy. You just tick the box at the report, and of course it may add some questions to a questionnaire, and so you have to do a little bit more work in there, but otherwise it's very easy. And we have actually been, for example, 2 times the finalist in the WWF One Planet City Challenge campaign, and it has also been very nice. So we have, for example, social media campaigns and have got support from WWF for our campaigns, and also get multiple feedback reports, and for example from WWF, the city report, in addition to a CDP's report and Global Covenant of Mayors compliance report, and these are very beneficial, and it's actually quite amazing that we get them for free, just ticking up a box on the questionnaire. So it's very good tool for us and our climate work.
Thank you, Mika. And yes, indeed, I forgot to mention, but we've the questionnaire has undergone quite many changes, and indeed we try to ameliorate year on year, and yeah, try to put the questions as best as possible to be most concise and precise. And as you also said about using the CDP clay track. What has been reported there. Also, when you go for applications that have to be done quite last minute or also not, we have the same feedback from many cities that indeed use these or use what has been reported there to also explain to the public, to the wider public, what is being done, and also use the platform to compare themselves with what is being done worldwide, and as you said, also put yourself out there, right? On a worldwide platform where you put your commitments and your goals, and city in the whole world can see which goals and commitments you have. And again, thank you, Mika. I would encourage all participants to also put their questions in the Q&A if you wish so. Again, Mika, congratulations to you, and of course all the city of Turku for making it once more on the A-list also in 2022. Maria, I would now. Now over to you. Do you want me to change the slides for you, or do you want the control to change the slides?
I think, if possible, I could ask you to change the slides.
For sure.
Yeah. So I could. First of all, yes, thank you very much, Marta, for the great introduction of the CDP and the reporting platform, and Mika for the inspiration from Turku, because it's great to hear that there are so many applications of the CDP reports in the city, and there are very different benefits that the city can actually get from it. So it's a two-way street. So I could now in turn introduce maybe briefly what we do in the Union of the Baltic Cities network, our aims and activities in a nutshell, and tell how the CDP fits into them. So as I said in the beginning, we are the network of cities in the Baltic Sea region, and we support the development of the local level with opportunities brought from the international cooperation. So our Sustainable Cities Commission, where I work together with Adham, who is directly responsible for the CDP cooperation in our team, the Commission itself has over 25 years experience on working with the protection of environment and supporting sustainable and efficient approach to the local urban development. And the current vision for the sustainable development of our network has been prepared last year, and on the next slide should be presented. Thank you. Our vision stretches currently from 2022 to 2030, and it is aligned with the major processes in Europe and globally, with this global aspiration of reaching carbon and climate neutrality targets by 2030. To develop this program, or Vision 2030, we have collected feedback from our member cities, our key stakeholders, and we have identified overall 5 overarching thematic topics that we find that need to be addressed by 2030. They are also presented on the next slide as part of the Sustainability Action Program. Thank you. And climate change is at the core of all of these activities, as was visible through all of the discussions that we had. And what was simultaneously formulated when we were identifying this topic and preparing this program were regional strategies and various existing regional and global tools for helping cities on this path towards resilience, on this path towards reaching the set goals. And disclosing local actions within CDP was as part of our overall our strategic cooperation between UBC and CDP was made the part of the Sustainability Action Program. So how do we, this is a strategic overview, and how do we support cities in practice is on the next slide. Thank you. UBC, and specifically we talk for our Sustainable Cities Commission, we support our member cities in mutual exchange and providing opportunities for cooperation. And our commission supports and encourages this, providing versatile platforms and opportunities where cities can learn from each other, share their challenges, find joint solutions, and by that and through different activities raise the city profile in the region to inspire others. And we also strive to connect different policy levels in the Baltic Sea region, and through that bring the identified local challenges and issues to the regional level, so that they would be addressed through the regional policy development. For example, this is done via cooperation with Council of the Baltic Sea States or HELCOM. As part of these activities, our commission also is often applying for international projects as a way to realize local solutions with the transnational value. And these are the opportunities that we create for cities to exchange. But what also cities, we know that cities need in their work is support in exactly monitoring, evaluation, benchmarking of the local performance regionally, as all of these are extremely important for the actual sustainable development on the local level. And for us, the cooperating with the CDP is one of these bricks in this circle of activities. And we support this initiative, and we have launched annual promotional campaigns to equip our member cities with this tool that is used by thousands of cities, hundreds of cities globally. I think over 1,000 last year. And we have issued yearly reports specifically from the UBC member cities side to highlight specific trends identified by our member cities, highlighting the issues existing in the region and the best practices and best performances of our member cities. And if you go, please, to the next slide. Thank you. So yes, we have, as UBC, we have cooperated with CDP since 2016, and happily find that many UBC cities find reporting through CDP a very useful, concise tool, allowing to partake in a global comparison of ambitions and performance in the Baltic Sea region and globally. And last year, as was already mentioned, 7 UBC members have made it to the CDP A lists, which makes us very proud for them scoring top on the climate action. And we hope that we would still see UBC members in the A list for 2022 as well. As we have now heard, Turku is making the 4th reappearance in a row, which makes us very proud. This is a good point to mention that our Sustainable Cities Commission is hosted by the city of Turku, one of the pioneers in the region. So, but we have indeed many active UBC members to also join in this path, and it's great that this ambition is leaving and reappearing every year. And maybe for the last slides in this, if you would like to learn more about our work and boost your local climate action also in other ways, I would like to invite you to one of our open webinars of the UBC Talks series. It's the webinar upcoming just in 2 weeks on the 29th of November. And we would focus on the localizing sustainable development goals and how the voluntary local reviews could be supportive in that process. So this is another side of this global cooperation where local activities could make a great contribution which we support and provide our cities with this and other tools like CDP reporting. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. And for all participants, we will also send this detail on the mail out that will arrive after our webinar, in which we will share the slides and also the details of this wonderful upcoming webinar. So you will find more details there as well. And yeah, thank you, Maria, for letting us know more about all the wonderful work that UBC is doing with UBC cities. And I would now arrive perhaps to the last part of the webinar, where again I invite everyone to input any questions they have in the chat. And I already see one that says, does the selected pathway influence the amount of data needed to be provided in order to qualify as a disclosing city? And does the selected pathway influence the ability of the city to get the score? So thank you for your question. And so with the there are now 3 pathways since this year, and we said that the pathway 1 is the one that requires a little bit less data quantity, and then the pathway 3 is the pathway that indeed asks more and more detail to the city. But so if you are a city that discloses, for example, for the first year, we can again have a one-on-one call and understand together in which situation you are right now with your city, with the data that you have at hand now, and understand which pathway would work best for you. And of course, all the questions are, none of the questions is mandatory. The questionnaire is just there to give a little bit of a framework for the city to work in. And so we encourage all cities, doesn't matter where at which point or how many data they have, to start using the questionnaire. And also while using the questionnaire, you will see a little bit the questions that are asked, and when using the CDP ICLEI track, you can take in consideration that the questions that are there have been worked together from CDP, from ICLEI, from WWF, and so on. So they are really kind of the gold standard to look at, even if you don't have data and maybe you want to start working and getting more quality and more quantity data. And no matter which pathway you will choose, you are eligible to getting the score, as long as the CDP score, as long as you submit your data within the CDP score deadline. And then, as Mika mentioned, this is not the only kind of feedback that you will get. Depending on which other initiatives you take part to, you can also get more feedbacks from those initiatives as well. So I hope I answered correctly to this first, clearly not correctly, to this first question. And then we have a question for Mika. So Mika, the question says, on the practical level, are you collecting data elsewhere, or are you involving city employees to work with you through the platform itself?
Yes, I'm involving also our employees in the city. Of course, I know answer for most of the questions, and I know myself where I can find data, but there are some specific data, for example, which I need from an energy company and so, and also it's actually a good idea to involve our team members, for example, the new team members in our unit, because it's also a learning experience to gather the data and information for a questionnaire. So it depends also on the situation. Sometimes we have, for example, this year we have also a consultant company involved in our climate work, so I can give some job to them also, and so but mostly I do the job by myself. But one good thing in the questionnaire is that it's open for several months, so there is enough time, and it's a good practice to make the first filling round in the early stage, and so you can send by email, for example. Some questions I just copy from the questionnaire and paste to the email and ask, for example, the people from the energy company to answer them, and so and also I see there is an other question about the data platform, and actually
Yeah,
we
I
do
will.
not. Yes,
Yeah, I will read it out loud. So, and the next question, do you think that if there's no citywide platform to collect the data, CDP could be used instead?
yeah. Actually, we do not in Turku either have so-called city information platform, or maybe we have even several, but there is no one place where everything is collected, so the data is scattered in our city also, and of course I have been working for city of Turku for a long time, so I know who are the key persons, and these are the key places to find the data, and so it's maybe easy for me, but you don't need your own city information platform or something like that, so you can just put the data at the CDP, and it's there, and so it's available there, and so at least what comes to a climate issues, so that is beneficial to have it saved in one place at least.
Thank you, Mika. And indeed, I remember also from working with, talking to other cities, having a little bit the same feedback that you have said. So some cities have set up monthly meetings when the disclosure cycle restarts, in which all they get together and each one feeds in the information to the main user. Other cities have decided to give to the different offices one part of the questionnaire, but it's also true that in many cases the main user is the person that really gathers all the data and feeds the data into the platform. So once again, Mika, thank you very much for your precious information. And then, one question around around any communication material that the question that the cities using the CDP Clay track platform can use, and this comes through the badges. So all cities that have used the CDP Clay track this year will, for example, receive one badge that they can add on their website, or that they can add at the under their own signatures, should they wish so. And then again, the CDP, the cities that have received an A-list score also receive a special badge for A-listers from this year that again they can showcase. And as we said earlier, together with these badges, CDP A-list also get many other benefits. We will see Turku's one very in the next days, and together with all the other A-listers. And and then it is important again to stress that all cities, even cities that don't have all the data available right now, or that think they don't have enough quality data, are really encouraged to start reporting. And then you will see that year on year we will have many rounds of feedbacks and possibilities to help you improve the data. During it has been mentioned, but maybe I should stress it once more. During the year, you will also get the possibility to have one-on-one calls as many times as needed with us, in case you or any of the city staff have questions, or contact us by email if anything is unclear, and of course take part to our webinars throughout the whole year. Mika, I see in the chat one more question for you. So does the decision makers need to be interested in order for the city to start disclosing, or can it be a kind of bottom up approach?
Well, I think bottom-up approach works very well also, and we have used that bottom-up approach maybe in the early years a lot. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we have used the feedback to promote the work, and for example, also in 2019, which was the first year when we were selected at the A-list. So the chairperson of the city board was after that involved in the ceremonies, and so that can be, of course, very beneficial also to get the decision makers involved in that. And so at least at that point, when there is something positive news or positive feedback, so it's very easy.
Thank you, Mika. And from, let's say, CDP Clay side, there is no need of any official document from the city stating that they want to start our platform. But of course, we get in contact with the city, and we start with the city the questionnaire. I see no other questions in the chat, if I'm not mistaken. But of course, to all those that are listening, if any question comes up later on, you're more than free to contact us by email, and we will, of course, answer. As I said earlier, after the webinar, you will receive the recording of the webinar and the slides together with the invite to the next UBC webinar. And yeah, don't hesitate to contact us. Maria or Adam, is there anything you want to say before the end of the webinar, or you have no more questions from your side as well?
Probably I will just add in the end that we encourage all our cities, all our members to start disclosing. It's not report, don't think about that so seriously. It's disclosing, and by disclosing you're measuring, and by measuring you're managing. So please do your part, and we will try to help you as much as we can. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, so I would end here the webinar. Again, thank you, Maria, thank you, Adam, and thank you, Mika, for your interventions today. And thank you for all the participants for tuning in. And yeah, you will hear very soon from us, and I hope all of you will become disclosers already from 2022. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-bye.